What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 autographs I recently got back in the mail. And this first one is postmarked from Orlando, Florida. And it is from former Chicago White Sox pitcher Chris Knapp, or Chris Knapp. I don't know if the K is silent, but I think it is. So Chris Knapp on 4 of 4. 2 as a White Sox and 2 as an Angel. So let me tell you about Chris Knapp and his career in baseball. After graduating from Central Michigan University, Knapp was selected in the first round of the 1975 Major League Baseball draft by the Chicago White Sox. He played parts of 1975, 76, and 77 with the White Sox after spending his first 2 years in the minor leagues with the White Sox farm system. In 1977, he appeared in 5 games for the AAA Iowa Oaks and worked in 27 Major League games for the White Sox that season. 26 as a starting pitcher, posting a 12-7 record with 4 complete games. After having some pretty solid seasons in Chicago, after that 12-7 record, in the offseason he was traded to the California Angels to begin the 1978 season. He was in a package deal that sent Brian Downing to the Angels, along with Dave Frost, for Bobby Bonds, starting pitcher Richard Dotson, and outfielder Thad Bosley. Knapp then worked 30 games that year for the 1978 Angels, 29 as a starter, and posted a 14-win and 8-loss mark that year with 6 complete games. However, in 1979 and 1980, he could not get the magic back from his time with California, and he lost his effectiveness, as he would only win 7 of 23 decisions those 2 years. He was then sent to the minor leagues in the 1981 season. Knapp finished his career in the minors during the 1983 season, going winless in 4 starts. During his MLB career, Knapp allowed 642 hits and 250 bases on balls over 603 innings pitched, and had 355 strikeouts with a total of 15 total complete games. His win-loss record was 36-32, posting a career 4.99 ERA also throughout his career. So, very happy to add Chris Knapp to the collection. He had again, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, if it's Knapp, I apologize. Very happy to add his autograph to the collection. He had a very solid season with the Angels that year, just was not able to restore the magic, and eventually had to finish up his career playing in the minor leagues before he hung up the cleats. So we'll move on to the next one. All right, this next one is postmarked from California, and it is one of the all-time great San Diego Padres from their early career, and that is Mr. Fred Kendall, their former catcher himself, all posed as a Padre in every card here. He did play for some other teams, but I just sent him Padres cards, including the all-time Padres card that I picked up really cheap in one of my dollar pickup videos at a garage sale. So let me tell you about Fred Kendall, his career in baseball, and of course a little bit about his family in baseball as well. Fred Kendall, a California native, was selected in the 4th round by the Cincinnati Reds in the 1967 draft out of Torrance High School in Torrance, California. He only spent a couple seasons in the Reds organization before he was selected in the expansion draft by the San Diego Padres. He didn't spend a whole lot of time for the Padres that year at the major league level, as he only appeared in 10 games in 1969 for the Padres in a backup catcher role. The following year, in 1970, he would spend the majority of the season in AAA, catching in 115 games, batting a respectable .307, and also hitting 9 home runs, which got him a 4-game call-up in the 1970 season. Well, in 1971, he would just spend 11 games in AAA, and the Padres would make him kind of a backup catcher, where he would appear in 49 games for the Padres that year in a backup role. The following year, in 1972, at 23 years old, he would split time with another catcher, appearing in 91 games for the Padres that year, batting .216 and hitting 6 home runs. Well, the following year, 1973, the job would be Fred Kendall's behind the plate. At 24 years old, he would catch 145 games for the Padres that year, posting a career-high 282 batting average and hitting a career-high 10 home runs by manning the plate for the Padres. Well, in 1974, he would repeat appearing in 141 games. However, his batting average would back to just 231 that year. Well, in 1975, in 103 games, he would see his batting average slip again, this time below the 200 line, batting just 199 in the 75 season. Well, in 1976, he would have a bounce back, and he would bat 246 that year for the club. However, would just crack 10 home runs for the team in the 76 season. Well, after the 76 season concluded, he would be traded by the San Diego Padres along with Johnny Grubb and Hector Torres to the Cleveland Indians for George Hendrick. So this is how George Hendrick, Silent George, became a San Diego Padre. He would just spend one season with Cleveland, appearing in 103 games, batting a respectable 249, catching for the club that year. Well, after the season concluded in 1977, the Cleveland Indians decided to package him again in a trade in March of 1978, right before the season ended, with future Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley going to the Boston Red Sox for catcher Bo Diaz, Mike Paxton, and Rick Wise, along with Ted Cox. Well, he would just spend that 1 year in Boston. He would just catch in 20 games for the club that year. And the Red Sox would then allow him to go back to free agency. And he would go back to San Diego, and he would catch 46 games as a part-time role for the Padres that year. 1980 would be very similar, where he would just catch in 19 games. However, that year he did bat 292. And after the 1980 season, his stats do end, and he retired from baseball as a player. Now, mind you, one of the things that I want to mention is at that point in his life, probably he was focused on, well, maybe my young son I will make into a great catcher one day. So Fred Kendall's son is indeed one of the best catchers of the 1990s and through the 2000s, I should say. He did play through 2010, and that is none other than Jason Kendall. You know, the longtime Pittsburgh Pirate, great catcher, along with the Royals. Jason obviously learned from his father and would eventually become drafted, you know, and the rest is history. Kendall goes down as one of the best catchers mid-90s through the 2000s. And after Fred's playing career did end, you know, after his son was drafted, working his way up through the minor leagues, Kendall did coach in the minor leagues. He coached in the Chicago White Sox affiliate, and in 1995 he was actually the bullpen coach for the Major League Kansas City Royals. After the 95 season, he would then move on to the Colorado Rockies, where he was a coach in the Colorado Rockies organization through 2002. I'm assuming he retired from baseball after, nearly 40 years in the game as a player, as a manager in the minor leagues, and as a coach. So very happy to add Mr. Kendall to the collection. And the next individual is actually one that I wanted to share with you to honor Veterans Day this year. And we'll move on to that one. I'm going to tell you about this awesome person that was also a United States veteran. All right, so this next one is a return from former Minnesota Twin great on his Minnesota Twins playing card, Dave Goltz, on 2 as a Twin and 2 as a Dodger, most notably more known for his career as a Twin. So let me tell you about Dave Goltz and his career in baseball. But before I do that, I want to show you this card of Dave Goltz. And I have had this discussion on some autograph forums. I think this may be one of the oldest cards of somebody signing autographs on a card. If you got an older one, definitely let me know. But this is actually, you can clearly see him signing some autographs for some fans. And this might be the oldest one in existence. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a couple more out there that are older than this, but let me know what you think. So let me tell you about Dave Goltz. Dave Goltz attended high school in Rothsay, Minnesota, where he was a multi-sport star athlete. Goltz signed with his home state Minnesota Twins organization out of high school for just $20,000. He began his career with the Twins in the Gulf Coast Rookie League affiliate in 1967 and moved up to Single A St. Cloud in 1968. In 1968, his career was put on hold as he served in the United States Army Reserves as a helicopter mechanic, and his unit was called to active duty in 1969, postponing his baseball career. He returned to the minors after his United States Army obligation in 1970, and unfortunately, when he came back, he hurt his arm while he was in Double-A. After rehab, he spent 1971 with 2 Single-A affiliates, but he had a combined record of 14-3 with Orlando and Lynchburg after that 71 season. In 1972, he moved up to Tacoma, and he was called up to the majors in July of 1972 when Jim Cott went on the disabled list. He won his first major league start against the Milwaukee Brewers. After going 6-4 his rookie season, Goltz had 3 consecutive seasons of 500 records, so he was labeled a 500 pitcher. He went 8-8 in 1974, and in 1975 and 1976 he had a 14-14 record. They were exactly the same both of those years. Well, in 1977, everything just clicked, and Goltz won a career-high 20 games for the Twins that year, tying the Major League lead with Dennis Leonard and Jim Palmer for the most wins in the American League. So after that 20-win season campaign, he did come back in 1978. He didn't win 20 games, but he wound up going 15-10 that year, posting a 2.49 ERA for the Twins in 1978. In 1979, however, he would win 14 games, but he would post 13 losses that year, so almost a 500 pitcher, and his ERA would almost double that year. Well, not quite double, but almost double that year with the Twins. After going 14-13 at 30 years old, the Twins decided not to re-sign Goltz, and he went free agent. He signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers for the 1980 season, and in his first year in Los Angeles, he posted just a 7-11 record in 35 games and 27 starts. The following year, in 1981, his record would dip to just 2-7, and he would only make 8 starts out of 26 appearances for the Dodgers that year. Well, going into the 82 season, Goltz just stayed with the Dodgers for just the month of April and was later released by the Dodgers on April 27, 1982. He wouldn't stay unemployed long, as he would sign with the California Angels on the other side of town, and he would wind up finishing up the year with the California Angels, appearing in 28 games out of their bullpen and starting 7 of those 28 games. Well, the following year, he was invited back to join the California Angels, but this time he posted a 0-6 record in just 15 games, and he was released from his contract in 1983. So after his career, I'm really not sure what he did. I would assume he moved back to Minnesota or somewhere nearby there. He was, of course, part of the 1981 World Series championship team of the Dodgers. The one thing I wanted to share with you, the viewers, today is the importance of United States veterans. With Veterans Day being tomorrow, I just wanted to profile this individual as being somebody that was so important to serving his country, for us having the opportunities and the freedoms that we have in this great country of the United States. So whenever you think of Mr. Dave Goltz, don't just think about his baseball career, but also think about the time that he sacrificed in his early career as a baseball player serving his country. Because, you know, as crazy as it seems, there are plenty of 20 to 25-year-olds, 25, the 30-year-olds that play professional baseball. And as of me knowing, I don't know of too many of those that have given up their career to go serve in the military. Now, I'm sure there are some out there that, I don't know everybody, but I find it very important to honor our veterans, especially tomorrow on Veterans Day. So thank you for joining me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the autographs from Dave Goltz. I hope you enjoyed the autographs from Mr. Fred Kendall on these vintage 70s cards, along with the all-time Padres card. show that a little bit better so you can see it. I also hope that you enjoyed the story of Chris Knapp, or Chris Knapp, however you say that. And these cards are not too hard to find. They're from the 70s, so a little bit more difficult to find than your 80s or 90s junk wax. But definitely keep your eye open for them if you're interested in getting autographs from any of these players. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.